Welcome to Windows 7 and beyond with AppSense. This is WCL311B for the sake of the recording. We have to do that.
Or just so you know where you are.
Yeah, that's right. So hopefully you know where you are and hopefully this is where you want to be. My name's Macca. I'm a technical evangelist with Microsoft.
I'm Leah Artini. I'm a devices TSP, so I look after all things client and management. So
joining us today, we have Andy McAlpin from Santos and we have Shane Westcott from AppSense. So we're going to kick this off. And thankfully the clicker works.
All right. Yeah. Oh, I've been given the mantle. All right. So it's end of days, guys. Who actually knows the date of end of life for XP? I've been drumming it into your head for a while now. April 8, 2014. It's real. All right. I know we sort of reneged last time and gave you some extra time. This time, it's a no-show.
So who's on XP right now?
Oh, look, the whole room makes me cry.
Who thought to themselves around about a year and a half ago, shit, I really should do something about this soon? Yeah. Who's currently experiencing a brown trousers moment as the realisation comes up that we're around about 6 months away? A bit more than that.
It's about 8. You actually need more time to incubate a baby. Not that I've had one, but there you go.
There you go. All right, so this is real, as Leah said. We're not going to be backtracking on this, so it really is something we need to think about. And,
so let's put it into perspective, right? There's no security patches, no incident support, nothing, okay? So everything that we support on a modern or a supported platform, you're not going to go and get it from us, all right? So there's a big security and a big risk hole here. So effectively opening up for those zero-day threats that we can't stop, right? It's a 10-year-old OS. You need to do something about it. So today's all about, what's happening, why, how you get off it, all right? So Santos are here and I'm going to talk about their story and how they get there, and then AppSense was how they sort of assisted their migration, and then we'll get Shane up and he'll actually talk about the product and how it can help you. So just so we've got an idea of how many people in the room, so what sort of seats? Are we talking 500 or to 1,000? Is that sort of roughly where we are in the room? 40,000. Okay, 40, you scare me, but that's okay. Bank? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. All right, so we've got a bit of a mix, but you're all in the same position. So it doesn't matter if you're a small business or a big business, you're all in the same boat. So this is a bit of a scary slide, and Macca goes, oh, that's a lot of information to consume first thing in the morning. So we'll just talk to it.
There's a book out there you can get from Amazon.com, and I think it's called something along the lines of Why PowerPoint Presentations Are Crap. And this is a really good example of the eye chart slide. And really the reason we've left this in here is so later on you can go download that and have a bit of a look at it. But basically, there's one major point that this particular slide wants to get across, and that's you need to decide where you're going today, but you don't have to make that shackle you in iron. Now, right now, you've got a choice of going Windows 7 or you can go Windows 8, and really, it's up to you where you want to go with that. At the end of the day, the methodology that you use and the tools you use to push out, let's say, a Windows 7 OS can be very easily applied to a Windows 8 OS. So if you've got something like System Center 2012 Configuration Manager out there, you already have the ability to start shipping both of those operating systems down to the people that need it. So the question is, do I go 7? Do I go 8? Do I go with a combination of both? What do you reckon, Leah?
So when we talk about 8, we're not just talking about Windows 8 as in the product that came out last year, we're talking about 8.1 as well. So we've got a number of different scenarios in the industry. So we've got those who went wholesale 8, generally the smaller organisations that can move and are quite nimble, or those that aren't. And then we've got those who are big banks, big financials that go, it's just too hard, how do I move forward? And they're sort of going with that hybrid solution. So if we look at what our sort of Gartner and IDC say, they're saying that 8.1 is the enterprise solution for the future, which we love to hear. But the reality is, pick and choose what you're going to do, right? Migrations are hard. We're not up here telling you it's easy. We're just telling you that there are tools here available for you to make this whole scenario a little bit more streamlined for you. So if I was looking at my organisation, I'd look at what my compute power is. So profile my organisation and my user suite. Have a look at, am I going to sit down and do compute? Am I going to sit down and be like a mobile user, or am I going to sit down and actually do some Excel, so it's a financial journal sort of thing, like those finance freaks that have to control everything. So we say horses for courses, 7 where it makes sense, 8.1 when it makes sense. If you're in a position to be able to go wholesale 8.1, I would wholeheartedly support you. but that's for selfish reasons, right?
Absolutely right. And if you've got those certain users in your organisation that really need a touch type environment because they are heavy users of tablets, but you also at the moment feel that you will be better off with pretty much a wholesale Windows 7 environment, then just go for the right fit for the right people. But when it comes down to actually getting the operating system out there, there's always going to be a bunch of challenges, and I'm sure that nobody in the room is in any way new to any of this. So when you go and decide to throw a new OS out there, how long does it take you? 6 months, 12 months, 18 months? 3 years and we still haven't gotten past the design phase? You know, there's a lot of stuff we need to think about.
There's lots of nodding in the room if people don't see it.
The impact on the end user is fairly significant. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that you need to think about in the background. Things like the config settings, keeping them to configuration standards, making sure they don't drift too far, making sure you're inside compliance with whatever regulatory compliance act you may be exposed to. That type of stuff can be reasonably easily embedded in the tools that you need to use. If you look at something like Config Manager, you've got your compliance settings or desired configuration management if you're still running 2007 or whatever the terminology du jour is for that. And we can embed that into a task sequence fairly easily. But the one thing that is absolutely going to kill you stone dead is if you chuck that operating system out there and the end user rocks in the next morning and logs into the system and the picture of their dog isn't there, they are going to keel over.
So let's go through a scenario, right? I'm going to play that CIO because I've always wanted to be one. Not. Right, so I want to come in and I'm going to get that new OS. Who have got those fickle people that they see in front of their name and a C-level exec that says, I want my photos, I want my apps just the way they are today. Macca, I also want my favourites and I want all the things that I've customised within my apps. How are you going to do it for me?
And you also want that massive music library that you've got on your local machine that you've told IT that we're not actually allowed to have in our
I've got a very
unless, of course, it's you.
Diverse music repertoire. I've got it all. I've got 18 gig and I want it on my new machine too.
Cool. So we've got a couple of options to get around this. And some of the tools that we have are really quite good for getting those user settings and those user files across. Now we've got a couple of options. If we're GUI mad and we can't handle the idea of a command line, then we can go and visit every single machine with the files and settings transfer tool until we go slowly insane over the course of a period of time.
Not something we recommend, right?
Absolutely not. Or we might go something like the user state migration tool, which is our command line tool that can be used for scanning a machine, using XML files to determine what type of settings we're going to grab, also using XML files to determine the types of files we're going to grab, dumping them up to a central repository point, and then after the imaging is done, bringing those back down. And if you've got the latest versions of ConfigMan, you can always use hard linking in place if you're not repartitioning the hard drive to basically get the operating system down there, restore everything without sending more than about 3 or 4 bytes of data across the network. So that's really nice. And the USMT is not a new tool. It's been around for years and years and years. It is great for getting the majority of your settings and files up and then back down to the end machine. The only problem is that it can't get everything. So if you've got certain applications that have really deep embedded settings that we can't see in USMT, well, you're hosed. You're not going to get those back. So what are we going to do to deal with that? Or what if you're moving across to the new operating system and you've decided this is the version, damn it, that we're not going to be local administrators anymore? Honestly, we're not going to do it anymore. I've been doing it for ages because we've got that crappy little piece of software that was developed in-house by a half-wit developer who decided that developing on a machine where they were an administrator was fine, and now we need to be an administrator to actually run this application. How are we going to get to that point where we can go across to a new operating system, make everyone a standard user, but elevate their rights to run applications on the fly as they need it? These are things that you're going to have trouble with when you're getting the operating system out there.
So in the room, we're a bit of a close bunch here. There's not many of us here. So who's gone through the app compat? Who started that journey off XP to 7 and 8? Who's finding it difficult? Time consuming? Spending hours trying to shim or somehow fix these, what Macca just said, like 2-bit apps to try and work on 7 and 8, right? It's a hard job, right? So I'm going to introduce Andy McAlpin from Santos. He's gone through this. So Santos are quite a progressive customer. They sort of think a little, you can come on up. No, I don't bite. I'll give you the clicker even. So they're going to take you through their story, okay, and how they've actually come full circle from XP to 7 to 8 and how they've done a bit of a hybrid scenario. So like we said before, it doesn't have to be wholesale. You can actually have that cross-section. And I'll just fix up the laptop for you.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, so my name's Andy, I'm from Santos. I'm the engineer who is responsible for implementing our AppSense solution with Windows 7. So to tell you a little bit about us, about 5,000 seats. We're a highly mobile workforce. We've got people in Batangas, Singapore, Indonesia, remote areas of Australia, different bandwidths, different, I guess, different challenges across all of those sites. So the main problem that we had moving into Windows 7 was that all of our users had roaming profiles. Probably about 30% of our help desk calls were related to roaming profile issues. Those profiles would roam anywhere from, between sites, Brisbane, Perth. It really, really cost us in terms of our... Sorry guys, I'm just having a little moment. Yeah, it was probably in terms of the...
It's all right, it's first up.
Yeah.
We won't judge you.
All right, excuse me. I might just...
Oh,
not for
okay,
us.
now I'm going to get cross. No.
Not for us. Windows XP, it really did cause about a third of our help desk calls. It would take 20 to 30 minutes at least for a help desk call to resolve those issues. That's a fairly quantifiable cost to our IS operations. But the problem is that with the wider operations, what our people do, it's a much less tangible sort of a cost. How can you work out if a drilling decision that might cost $2 or $3 million per day that can't be made today because somebody can't log on to a profile? How do you quantify those costs within your IS organisations? And we couldn't do that, but we knew we had a problem and we knew we needed a solution. So AppSense for us was something that we thought was going to solve this issue. We had a fairly narrow focus on what we wanted and what we wanted it to do. And that was going to be our way moving forward. Our initial trial of AppSense was fairly poorly planned. Unfortunately, we didn't engage very well with the vendor.
There's some honesty.
Yeah. We failed to. AppSense is a very the bells and whistles. It can do so many different things, and we just knew that we wanted it to fix our roaming profile solution issues. So without really looking at what this solution could give us, we just looked at this one little narrow issue that it was going to solve for us. So by the end of our initial trial, we weren't sure that it was really going to do for us what we needed it to, but we decided to go and get some training, gain a better understanding of the product, which we did, and we realised that we needed to throw everything that we'd done previously out, rebuild everything and start from scratch, and that's what we did. And this was a month out from our Windows 7 initial rollout start date. So within that time, with a month to go, we basically rebuilt our entire AppSense infrastructure. We set up everything the whole solution as we were going to roam it. Yeah, and so the brief for us was that we needed our desktop settings to roam between Citrix and Windows 7. We needed to remove the roaming profiles that were costing us and causing us so many issues. So we needed Office and Internet Explorer application settings to roam. That's our favourites, our signatures, all those sorts of things. The brief was that we wanted only links and shortcuts to roam off the desktop. So we were going to orphan all those giant movie files and all those things. We're going to basically stay within a local profile, but all your shortcuts and links to your map network drives, those things we're going to roam on the desktop. We took a very last-minute approach to our application compatibility testing. So it was very much an ad hoc thing, and we needed a way that we could, when we found those problems with, oh goodness, this is, we've locked down Windows 7, there's no access for users, we need a way to run these things that previously worked in XP. Application elevation with user rights management within AppSense was just critical to us. So We've made extensive use of that. And also, yeah, the use of specific triggers to perform administrative actions. So a good example of that, we have a lot of graphically intensive geo applications. We wanted to provide a consistent corporate experience to our users so that, you know, we wanted to, I guess, have all the desktops look the same. One of our applications, for instance, if you had the transparent start menu, then it would cause blockiness and jumping. So we couldn't have a third of our people wanting that turned off and everybody else having it turned on. So we use application launch trigger mechanisms to say, when this process starts, stop this service, change this registry key, start the service again, and away we go. So this also gives us the real benefit for us was with our help desk. So instead of having a profile issue result in a 20 to 30 minute possible rebuild and the user not being able to do anything until that happens, we use the service center. We use a web console with a service center for the rolling back of settings to resolve issues. So we keep a historical archive of 11 days worth of settings for each user, for each application, and session data and desktop settings. So when a person rings up and my favourites are gone, we can just get them to close down Internet Explorer. When did the issue happen? 2 days ago. Bam, we choose the archive and we roll them back to that date. So it's very handy. So this is an overview of our solutions architecture. So we have a SQL Server 2008 backend. We have a production management server with a DR management server. So that manages, the management server manages all the clients, pushing out of configurations, agents, those sorts of things. Plus we have 3 production personalisation servers. So we have those sitting in Brisbane, Moomba and Adelaide, plus a DR one. But that manages those servers. That's where all our clients talk back to, whether you're in Batangas, whether you're in Indonesia, wherever you are, that's where you come back through to the one SQL database that lives in Adelaide. So our profile sizes with the compression that AppSense provides us, we're looking at about 4 to 5 megabytes on average for our profile sizes. So that's all our desktop settings, session data, Internet Explorer, favourites, everything. Office settings, everything we've decided to include, that comes down to about 3 to 4 megabytes per user. And as I said, we're roaming between Windows 7. We're now roaming between Windows 7 and Windows 8 desktop, along with Citrix Server. So it really doesn't matter which operating system our users or which environment they're logging into. They get a consistent user experience, and it's the same for them. So the benefits for us, we've seen drastically improved login times. I'm talking for a 10 to 15 gig profile for somebody who's maybe gone from Brisbane to Perth and they didn't bring their laptop, so they get a loaner. There's no locally cached profile. That could take 3 hours to come across, versus a 30 second, 40 second is our average. Can take up to a minute, but nothing beyond that. So it's been in terms of the productivity boost, the 30% at least reduction in profile-related calls with our help with our service centre. And the fact that we can resolve these issues so much quicker, we've got an easily quantifiable cost saving to our IS department, and the big question mark over, what was this doing out there? Well, we don't need to ponder it anymore because it just removes it. So, so moving forward for us at the moment, we've actually we found our deeper engagement with AppSense helped us to move to Windows 7. So we've taken on a TRM relationship with them. We have a person who is directly available and at our beck and call to assist us when we need it. We've now documented and the knowledge and experience has spread very well within the team. So for troubleshooting, those sort of things. And we're now actually moving into a phase where we're trialling a variety of tablets running Windows 8. We've done a proof of concept and a trial phase where pretty much everything that we've done in Windows 7, we've been able to roam across to Windows 8 without any real major issues. There's some small teething issues. Things like, the challenges for us have been things like, logging onto a Windows 8 tablet and getting the little touch keypad come up as part of your toolbars, having that roam across to Windows 7. So, when you log on to a non-touch, you don't really want a touchscreen keypad coming up in your toolbar, things like that. Very small issues for us to resolve, but the core things that we need to roam between all three operating systems have worked really well for us. So we're fairly seamlessly roaming all the settings between the three operating systems. So well, that's pretty much for me. So I'll hand over to Shane. Thanks very much for putting up with my nervousness, guys. Cheers.
Good work, Andy.
So as you can see, it's not just for those people that have a simple environment. What Santos had was 3 operating systems. We've got 7, we've got 8, we've got XP. It's not just about our applications and settings. It's about how are we actually going to manage this from a perspective of change management. How do we get training out to our people? And about just fine-tuning it. It's all good and well to say, we've gone from XP to 7, but as Andy just said, it's transferable to 8. So if you're going to invest in the 7 compat functionality, look at what's it going to take to go to 8, and can you actually expand your ROI and your migration projects to get that little bit extra? So if we talk about how we got there, it was all about AppSense and how they actually delivered those benefits. So I'll introduce Shane. Shane's going to run through actually what the product does, how it works, and a couple of demos. Good luck, Shane.
Thanks, Leah.
I'll pray to those demo gods.
Yeah, well, I've done a lot of praying to the demo gods, but we'll see how we go. Okay, so firstly, my name's Shane Westcott. I'm from AppSense and I'm an alcoholic. Probably the wrong meeting to say that. But, anyway, I'm from, I look after technical for this region, been with the company for nearly 10 years and seen us grow from 2 people up to about 16 people as we have now. So it's been a wild ride with AppSense in Australia and New Zealand. Now, who's really techie here? We've got some really techie people. There's not too many hands. Okay, so what I wanted to do today, rather than do your standard sort of typical bland, yes, here you go, settings rolling backwards and forwards, that's very exciting. I thought I would show you a bit of the techie stuff under the covers, so lift up the sheets. Could do a few other analogies for that, but let's just stay with lift up the sheets and just have a look and see what's going on underneath the covers. Let me just click over to my, let's hit the right button, there we go. Right, okay, so. Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Update your virus protection, dude.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. Look, Microsoft will look after me with that. Go away. Right. So this is my laptop, and of course, because I'm a Microsoft dude, and I love Microsoft, I'm running Hyper-V, so let me just crank up a couple of VMs here. And you might wonder, why didn't this idiot get him going first? Well, hey, they don't take very long to spin up. This is Hyper-V on Windows 8. And it's pretty quick. Right, let me log in. Grab that one too. Let Windows 7 go in. There you go. That's my domain name because I know it's true. Been working for AppSense for 10 years. If they hated me, they would have sacked me by now. Here we go. Okay, Management Center's logged in. Right, so what I've got here by way of architecture, similar to what Andy was talking about, I've got a server in the back end, which is that little puppy, which is running 2008 R2. And that's running what we call a management server and a personalization server. Personalization server is where we store all the settings for the user. So I'm going to address a couple of the things that Andy mentioned and just show you a little bit of how that works and under the covers. So he talked about the fact that they had some lockdown issues when they went to Windows 7. Nobody wants to take local admins across. We want to get rid of those local admins. So what we're able to do with AppSense, we're able to use a feature called user rights management, and that allows us to actually elevate bits of control panel or applications themselves. So just for the demo, just for the sake of the demo, I'm running the console here so I can do live updates and show you how that works. So I'm logged on as a user called Winnie7, fairly simple user, just a bland non-admin user, and I can prove that by going here and saying manage. Good old UAC crops up. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to just elevate some things for this user. So let's say this user wants to run Task Manager with full user rights, full admin rights. Click on the button, UAC comes up. The other thing this guy might want to do is change date and time. So let me run that up, click on the button. Again, we get UAC. So what we can do is, with AppSense, I've got a rule specifically set up for this dude. And I've elevated the console. So this console is actually running with admin rights, so I can make changes along the way. And I've got regedit there as well, because I'm going to show you a couple of registry things in a tick. So what I can do fairly simply is just add in taskmgr.exe, if I spell it correctly, and I did. Select my policy, which is called my admin rights policy. And that's a pretty simple policy. That policy applies to the exe. It's going to add their membership to the local admin group. Now, there's no let's go into AD and create a new user, let's create a new local admin user, any of that. Basically what it does is hacks the ticket on the way through. So we do almost a man-in-the-middle attack when the app starts up and goes to the LSASS service and says, hey, give me a ticket. We're going to hack that in the middle and say, I'm going to scribble in, you've got admin rights. So the app then opens up the ticket and says, oh, happy days, I'm a local admin. Good thing about that is that ticket can or cannot, whether you choose, be passed on the processes that are kicked off. But there is no way of that user then going, creating another user, doing anything else admin-wise that we haven't let them do. So I've added in Task Manager there. Let me just add in date and time as well. Now, I know you can do date and time with a group policy, but there's a lot of stuff down here that you can't do with group policy. And you certainly probably can't do it as quickly and easily and as flexibly as we can. It's all about getting things done quicker because, you know, just mucking around with lots of extra admin, nobody's got time for that, have they? So you want to make sure that everything runs fairly quickly. So let me go down here and just save that away. Save as live config, which means it's going to be live on this machine. Now, the cool thing about this product, I don't need to log in and log out. All I need to do is just double click, and I can now see that that is running with full admin rights. Okay, it's a full admin version of Task Manager. If I go into time and date and click on the button, it now lets me change the time and date. Okay, so very simply, that's just hooking the ticket. So when that piece of control panel starts, gets a new ticket that says, happy days, you're a local admin. Okay, cool. Now let's have a quick look at what is happening under the sheets with that. We've got our friend Process Explorer here. And what we're going to look at with Process Explorer is we're going to kick off this app, which is Task Manager, and then check out some of the DLLs. So I've got that there. And if I click up here, and then like that, we should be able to see some DLLs. Maybe it doesn't load any. Where are we? We're looking at DLLs at the moment. Okay, let me just grab another app just to see that we've got some DLLs coming up. Bring that down. And MS Paint, there we are. Okay, let's order that by company. Let's go on Microsoft. Okay, so what you can see here, let's pull this out a little bit. There's a couple of DLLs. There's a AMLD app in it, so that's an application manager hook loader library, and then you've got the hook utility library. They're loaded underneath the process, so they'll be able to hook that ticket for the process. That starts under every process that runs on this machine. Okay, so we've done that with what's called kernel level drivers. Kernel level filter drivers, if you're familiar with those, we've got some very skilled people in AppSense that program in that sort of sphere, so they're very cool at making these things happen. So the other thing we can do, let me just bring that down. The other thing we can do is we can give people a choice. So we could say, for example, I've got a bunch of users who I want to have the option to elevate things if they choose to. So that's called, in AppSense world, self-elevation. So let me turn that on, and I'm going to apply it to all items except those in a list. So I can give people a white list or a black list that they can self-elevate. Here's a list of things you can. Here's the things you can do anything except you can't elevate these bits. So just leave that on blacklist mode and leave it empty. Hide the run as admin button because that's not going to really function for them. So let's save that away, save as live config, and that should be cool. So now, if I go back in the task manager and run it, it's going to run as a standard user. If I click the button, UAC kicks in again. If I go here now and right click, I get the option run with admin rights. You will be audited. So the user knows they're going to be audited, and there's an auditing mechanism to centralise the auditing of this for our people who are going to check compliance and that sort of stuff. So click on that. Comes up and says, hey, please provide a reason given you're audited. If you lie to us, we know how to hack your Twitter account. So I'm doing a demo for TechEd. That's why I'm doing that. And it then runs with full admin rights. Now, as I said, pretty much everything you do with AppSense can be audited. So that actual event is going to go back up to my central server here. And if I click on my little thing here, here's one I created earlier. You can see those events there are where I have elevated Task Manager. So it tells me what policy, tells me the name of the user, tells me what computer they're on, all the good stuff, So let me go down to that one there. And you can see there it's even got the reason, doing a demo for some cool dudes at TechEd. So that's an old one I did last night. So you can see that it even tells you the client name. So I'm using an RDP client here. I can find out where did they come from, which desktop were they on, if I happen to be using virtual desktop or something like that. We can do that too. Okay, so we can show that and have a look at that. Okay, so that's one of the things that Santos had a challenge with, certain apps that they wanted to elevate. The other thing, which is pretty much our bread and butter, is the ability to grab the settings off whatever platform they're on and bring them into a separate layer, if you like, which is linked to the user and the apps. We call that personalization. People call it user virtualization. There's a million terms for it. So what we're going to do is just show you a quick example of that, and I'll do what I call a little bit of a party trick. So I've got my friend Notepad here, and I'm actually personalizing Notepad for this user. So as Andrew was saying, all of the data gets stored in the database, and if I go into here and grab my database, I can actually have a look at the data that this user has. Click on display. My username's Winnie7, so I can double click on that, and you can see all the various bits and pieces I've got. Some desktop settings, which includes things like my desktop background. If I go like that, you'll see my desktop wallpaper up there. I've got things that we would call, as registry keys in there for the desktop. The IE group, I've got things like favorites and stuff in there, plus all the registry keys. In the Office group, again, I've got files and registry keys. If I go into that, you should see some sort of a custom dictionary there, if I can get that to hook properly. There we go, just get in the right spot. There we go. Custom dictionary lives in there, so there's a whole bunch of things. Now, the cool thing about AppSense is if I go into here and I show you some registry keys, I don't actually have to tell AppSense or know what registry keys I want to grab. I just tell AppSense, there's a process called Excel. I want you to go and monitor it. I want you to go and grab all of the keys. And it will grab automatically all the keys that get changed by the user and pick up that personalization. There's some includes and excludes you can use to make that more focused if that's what you want to do. So let me just do a couple of things on Notepad and then close it down. So let me change, I've changed the size of the screen already. Let me go into here and select a font. That handwriting one's pretty crap, so we'll grab that one. There we go. Okay, so let's save off good old Notepad. So I've closed it down. When you close down something and you're managing it with AppSense, what it first does is it's going to synchronize. So if there's a delta, it's going to change the delta. Click on display here. We've got our little settings on Notepad. So I can go into the registry now, Notepad, that I've got stored in the central database and show you that right there. I've got my handwriting. So that's the font I just set. Now, the other cool thing is if I go down here, and I love a bit of registry early in the morning. If I go down here and I go to my local registry, HK Current Use Software Microsoft Notepad, you can see the settings I've got there. They're pretty crap. It's pretty much nothing there. Now, the reason for that is because there's a bubble, there's a little area on the disk which lives here, which I'll show you because we're showing everything under the covers this morning. Click in here, there's a little folder, and under that Notepad, there will be a little FBR file, which is where my real registry settings that are going to be used by Notepad live. So AppSense has basically hooked the process and said, right, when this process asks to see this key, I'm going to point it straight at this location here. I'm going to pull those keys out of the FBR file, and that's what the app's going to get back. It's nothing to do with a real registry. Now, the cool thing about that is I can go XP, Windows 7, Windows 8, an AppV streamed app, a local app, a Citrix published app, whatever you want, and I'll get exactly the same settings for that app as long as the user's the same. Let me just minimise the registry there. Now, I was showing you the back end, so let me do the little party trick now. So, because I've got access to that setting, what I can do is go and edit that. And I can go, let's make this Arial. Click OK, click OK. And then the next time this user goes and runs good old Notepad, and then goes into format, and goes font, it's now set to Arial. Okay, how cool is that? Do we get at least a bit of pause? I mean, you know, it worked. It worked.
Who wants chocolate?
There's even some
That's more
chocolate, so
questions.
I'll try not to kill anyone. But you know, these are for the demo gods. You see, so well, we'll see how we go. But try and pick those up later if you're. There you go. You want some chocolates? There you go. Did you? There's a Turkish delight just for you, girl.
Oh,
There
for
you go.
those that come up the front, they have
Okay,
chocolate.
right. Okay, so that's a little bit of a party trick that I like to do. Let me just show you one of the other advantages, and while I'm there, I'll bring up Process Explorer so you can see this happening. If I click on Notepad, what you'll see here if I scroll down to AppSense, for personalisation, we have two DLLs hooked under. There's one called emloader.dll, and what that does is that basically makes a decision when the process starts and says, hey, do I need to manage this, yes or no? If the answer is yes, it then loads this other DLL called pvc.dll. That is the guy that then hooks the settings and says, right, you need to get them from the AppSense cache and bring them in. If we don't have the setting, we'll get it from the real registry, and if the user makes a change, we will then write that into the AppSense data. It gets sent up to the database, and happy days. That setting will then follow that user for that time forward. Now let's have a look at another example of a managed app. Got plenty of time, which is good. Good old Excel. I love a bit of Excel in the morning too. So we've got Excel settings here. Once again, it's a managed app. So if I go here and find Excel and I look at the DLLs down the bottom, you can see I've got my PVC loaded, so that means it's a managed app. We do have a tool for real softies at AppSense who don't like, you know, digging in and finding out this stuff with Process Explorer. We've got an automated tool that tells you all that stuff. Apparently it's good. I don't use it myself. I like Process Explorer. Let me make a couple of changes here. Now, these settings for Excel live in that folder. So, but has anyone here tried to package up Office with AppV? What do you got your hand up for, Leah?
Because I have.
Oh, okay, fine. Anyone else? Tried to package Office with AppV? I know of it. No, I know of it.
Does everyone know what AppV is? Just before we talk about it? Yeah, okay.
I think so, right, okay, right, so there's no daredevils in this room then, is there? One of the things you need to be conscious of when you package up a suite is that apps need to talk to each other, and like our technology, AppV is an isolation technology. So settings live in a bubble, you can't talk to other apps. So what we do at AppSense is we create what we call a group. So the Office 2007 group I've got here has got all my Excel settings, but also settings for all the other Office groups. And, you know, as I said before, you've got things like files in there, and then you've got registry keys and an FBR file. But if I'm going to be mean, I can actually delete that. And then the next time I start Excel, let's bring that down. You can see the little Office group bobs back up. Because AppSense says, hey, I need the settings for Excel. Go and grab them from the database, stream them down because they're not here. It will go and grab the latest and greatest settings for Excel. Now, one of the things Andy mentioned was support desk calls, and I'm very happy that he mentioned the picture of your dog, because I went a number of years to Santos to do the initial POC, and we went through the help desk calls, and I saw a couple there was like, where's the picture of my dog? So I got the girl to do a check, and we found no less than 40 calls, which were after a profile reset where people had rung up and said, where's the picture of my dog? So when I do my other demo, I've got a very ugly dog picture in that. Which just makes the point that people love pictures of ugly dogs. Right, so let me show you something here. Now, I know you guys you've got 40,000 users, you've got 15,000 users. I know they're all very intelligent people, and I know they would never do this. But if you do happen to have a couple of users out there that are real nimrods, then If they happen to mess up Excel and they say, oh, I don't know how to fix this, every time I start Excel, it starts in a little box. It's just pretty crap. What we can do at AppSense, because I've got that data stored in the back end, I could go into the back end and reset that, or if I do think my users are half intelligent, I could actually let them have a service, which is what we call self-service. So what we do is we give people a self-service portal. So I've done this for the user. He's got the ability then to go in and say, right, I'm going to click on Office because it's Office that I need help on. Clicks on Next. Says, right, I've got a couple of backups here. Andy was talking about they have 11 archives. I've got a couple here that I've got there. I'm going to take this back to my base settings and just click on the base settings and click Restore. What this is going to do is in the database at the SQL end, it's going to roll back the data back to those settings so that I'll get back to the position I'm familiar with. Click OK, click OK. And when I go here and then run Excel again, happy days, it comes back to the way it was. So I can instantly fix an issue just for that app, just for that user without trashing their profile and saying, tough, you've got to reset all your stuff again, you've got to go and do all your Excel spreadsheets, or you've got to go and make sure that all of your signatures and everything are done and all that sort of stuff. Okay, right. One of the things I'm going to show you now, because we've got plenty of time, haven't we? Got plenty of time?
Believe so.
Believe so. Okay, cool. Right. So what I'm going to do now is just
Let me double check the time for you.
take the easy way out. It's until 9:30. Take the easy way out. I could take the easy way out or the hard way out. I don't know if I give you guys the choice, you'll make me take the hard way out. I could do a live demo of XP to Windows 7 and Windows 8 and back, but what I'll probably do is just play a video.
That's cheating, dude.
Is that cheating? Should I not do that?
I'll forgive you.
I'll forgive you. How much time we got?
About 25 minutes.
Okay. So who wants me to do the live demo instead of playing the video? Okay, there's a couple of hands.
Ah, yes. Make
Okay,
him
here we
work
go.
for his money.
Let's give the demo gods an option to kick my ass. Here we go.
I
So
love
let's
it.
go back. Let's put that one on good to go. This is live and unscripted, so let me start up Windows 8.
So effectively what you're going to do, just so we've got it clear, you're going to actually go from a 7 machine to an 8 machine and roam all your app settings
No,
across
I'm
the
going
two?
to go XP, 7, 8 backwards and App V backwards.
Okay.
It's going to be awesome
Who would
stuff.
use that scenario?
Who would use that scenario? Anyone who can't do a migration on one day.
Oh, come
Okay,
on.
so
man.
I've got branch A, branch B, branch C. I've upgraded branch A, but somebody goes from branch A to branch B. Oh, you guys are still on XP. Crap. Log on, brand new profile.
Okay.
No settings. Okay, they go back to Windows 7. They've added a few things on XP. I've got to add those words again in the dictionary to do stuff. Quite a common scenario for organisations to have to do that. Right, so let me just spin these things back up again. They're all spun. Let me connect in. You're my back end. And you are there. Good old XP. Let me log in as the user. Ow, fudge. Let's get the password correct. It's a good start. There you go. Okay, so you're going to log in. Let's go, and we won't log into Windows 7 yet. We won't log into Windows 8 because this user is going to do a first-time login to those two platforms. Let me kill that one because that's dead anyway. One of these is going to work and one of these is not. Right, so what I want to do here is show you the user. So the scenario here is that I've got a user called Mandy who's logged into Windows XP. She's currently a local admin, so if I go in here and I go right-click, manage, you can see she's a local admin, okay? And she does things like date and time and task management and stuff. What I want to do is I want to get her to help us migrate her and migrate her over to Windows 7. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to ring her up, and I've got a back end set up here. I've got her currently in a couple of groups. She's a member of those two groups, but she's not a member of any AppSense groups. Okay. I've got our AppSense backend set up in what we call migration mode. So I've got a transition group. If you happen to be in this AD group, AppSense transition, you are going to be able to collect all of your existing profile settings when you run an app. And what we're going to do here is a staged migration. We can do a one-step. This is actually a staged. So when she runs an app, I'm going to grab her IE and Office settings, just a couple of simple things. So it's going to grab automatically, every time she runs an app, all the settings that that app has a go at. Right, so let me log her out. Log her out first. She logs off. And she logs off because we need to now change the group. So while that's logging off, I'm going to go and change the group. Bang, bang. Member of, add her in. Transition. Okay, so she's in the transition group now. Now, just so you see, there's nothing up my sleeve. All good magicians, we just like to show this stuff. So I'll go display. You can see that's blank. There's no data in that database for that group. Okay, so nothing up the sleeve. Right, so what I'm going to do now with her is I'm going to kill that one so it doesn't confuse me anymore. Right, so what I'm going to do now with her is I'm going to log in. XP.
So you applied it to the AppSense group, which is actually going to start capturing those settings, right?
Correct.
So we put her in a transition group to capture the settings that she has today.
Correct.
To then put her into a position where we can migrate her.
You are so cool, Miss Leah. Can I take you back to the stand so you can work with us? That would be good.
I'm on the devices stand,
right,
so come
okay.
see me.
Okay, cool. Right, so what she's going to do is set a background. I've got a picture of a very ugly dog here, so I'll apply that. There we go. If you reckon that dog's ugly, go to the Ugly Dog website. There's some seriously bad ones there, but I didn't want to scare people too much. Let me just make a couple of changes to Excel. Excel options, proofread. I really do need a soundtrack for this, don't I, guys? It's
yeah.
Just, yeah. I do have a soundtrack, but anyway. Would you like you to sing? I don't think so. Our product range is called Desktop now, so that's the one that does all the Windows migration stuff. If you're looking at mobile data, you need to come and talk to us at the stand. There's a very cool thing called Data Now, which lets you access your data wherever you are. And we've got mobile now in there, so I'm going to add those little puppies in there. Click OK, click OK. So I've just made some changes to the custom dictionary. Let me go in here now and do a couple of favourites. So I'm going to go stop, favourites. She's got a group called Ugly Dogs. Let me add something in to Ugly Dogs. Link it in there. And I'm going to call that Ugly One. Right, it's got a link in there so she can find lots of pictures of ugly dogs. So I've added some favourites. I've gone into Excel. I've already shown you that she's a local admin. I've also got a version of Excel which is running in App V, which I'm not the best packager in the world. This is a licensing issue, but that's okay. Still serves a purpose. I'm not going to show you that yet. I'm going to show you that when I've done some Windows 8 stuff. So now I've got all the stuff. I ring her up and I say, right, can you log out? Because we think you're pretty much ready to go to Windows 7. So she logs out. That is a very ugly dog. Anyone like dogs like that? Any dog fans here? A bit of a cat man myself, but anyway. Okay, so I've done that. Let's now have a look what's happened at the back-end database. So personalization analysis, click on display, bang, bang. Miraculously, I have some stuff there. So I've captured in desktop settings her ugly dog. So I've got that there. I've captured under here her custom dictionary. I've also captured, as I showed you before, a range of registry keys. So they're all underneath there. Again, all I told AppSense to do was there's a thing called excel.exe. Just watch it and go and grab all the stuff that it touches or writes to, or in this case, reads from. So you've got your options there. That's where you have your position key to show you where on the screen it is. And under IE, if I go in here, I've got an ugly dog, ugly one. Cool. So I've got all the stuff. I'm then going to say, right, I want her to have a rollback position for Office, so I'm going to create an archive. I'm going to call that base settings. And click OK. So she's now got a list of base settings that she can do. Now, I'm also going to be fairly kind to her, so I'm going to say, right, I think she's got some quite good skills. So what I'm going to do is add her in as a self-service user. What was her name? Mandy, that's it. Check. Okay, dokie, and we'll make her self-service. So she can roll back her own settings if that's really what she wants to do. Click on close. Click on close. There you go. Right, so she should be ready to go now. We've got her settings. We've got them in the database. She's a self-service user. Should be ready to rock and roll. So, first time login to Windows 7. Here we go. Oh, different account. Because it's true. Even got the password right the first time. Awesome. So this is the first time login in Windows 7. And the wonders of Windows, it'll now build a profile, and voila, there's a very ugly dog. So we've got that there. Go into Excel, click on this button, that one, ow, click again, that one. You can see we've got her words in the dictionary, that's followed her across. We can go into Excel, and we can click on stop, and go away, I don't care, and stop. And we can go into the little one here that does the favourites. And you can see under ugly dogs, we have ugly one. So favourites have followed her across as well. Now, who was paying attention? What was the other thing we were going to do for her when she migrates to Windows 7? Admin rights. Awesome. Give the man a chocolate. There you go. Right, so...
How about I give the man the chocolate?
Oh, well, come on. I'm from an AFL state, so, you know, I like to throw stuff and get people to catch it. So you can see here she's not a local admin because I've just tried to do manage and that didn't work at all. So what I'm going to do now is run Task Manager, and what you'll see under Processes is you'll see that that is dead set running with full admin rights, okay? She can also go into date and time, if I can remember where I put it, under Control Panel, under Appearance and Personalisation? No, Clock. You deserve a chocolate too. There we go. But maybe I won't throw it that far this time. When I click on that, bang, bang, that's able to be changed as well, okay? So she's got the stuff that she wants to do as a local admin, and she's still got all the settings. Right, so let me do the same demo I did before, but we'll do that with her this time. So she's done the Nuffy move, and she's made it into a little box, but she remembers, the guys told me about this thing called self-service, so let me go into that. C83. Let's hope I typed the right website in there. Doesn't look like it. Where are we? Oh. I can handle things in the demo that are wrong when it's just my typing. That's cool. Right. Okay, so she gets the same sort of portal look and feel. She can go in and say next, next. Click on Office. She wants to roll back Office. Select those base settings I just created for her. Click Restore. Okay. Okay. And if she goes back and runs that, should be cool. Yes, sorry, question.
Just like, can you say a user goes, I need to roll back. Oh, hang on, that's not the right one. They roll forward to the...
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, what you'd probably do is you create a backup before you roll back. There's a setting in there where you can go create backup. So I can back up what I've currently got, and then I could use that as another archive if I wanted to do that. Okay, cool, good question. Right, so I've saved that away. Okay, so let's go for the Big Bang Theory. Let's throw all the toys out, and let's now see if we can work on Windows 8. So let's log off. Windows 8's down here. Yep. Bless you, my son.
Was mic'd up, that's
or
impressive.
daughter, whichever way you are.
Cut
Right,
it.
so first time log on to Windows 8. Windows has got to go and create her a profile because she doesn't have one. So we're going to go into Windows 8. We're going to see that lovely, tiley, spacey look.
Also known as the Start menu.
Also known as the Start menu, yes. I have the same thing on my phone because I've got a Windows phone. So there you go. Very ugly dog comes back. Go in here. You're going to see the same settings. Go up here, Excel options, proofing, custom, word list is all good. So, being AppSense though, of course, not only can I do that, I can do this. I can make it nice and skinny. I can then stay logged into Windows 7, but I can, Windows 8, sorry. I can log back into XP. And because I'm hooking those DLLs for Excel on the different platforms, I can go back in here. And if I go bang, bang like that, you're going to see it's the same. If I then go and change it here on Excel, make it nice and skinny that way, I can go back onto Windows 8, which is down here somewhere. There it is right there. That's Windows 8. Same setting. And as I said before, because I've got AppSense hooked in, I'm also able to hook the AppV version of the app, which lives on Windows XP. If I go back in here and run up the AppV one, it'll crank up a little box down the bottom corner saying AppV's coming. I've got a licensing issue with my package, I know that. But you can see that that comes through with exactly the same setting. Okay, that's about it. Do we have any questions? Yes?
Click to run Office 2013 running concurrently with Office 2010.
Yep.
Have you got any customers running that scenario yet?
Yes, we do, and yes, we have configurations that are able to support that. One of the things that Andy alluded to, and I didn't do a good job of talking about, is the fact that with AppSense, you have the ability to apply policy based on a range of triggers. So in the Windows world, your trigger is log on. I log on, I've got to do my group policy, login scripts, got to do everything at log on, right? In the AppSense world, I can apply policy at log on, log off, process start, stop, lock the desktop, unlock, network up, down, disconnect, reconnect. Okay, so all of those can trigger whatever policy I like. Things like, let's trigger, let's go and have a look at the rule to say what version of Office is he on. Oh, he's on this version. I need to make sure these settings are in the right spot at the right time. So you can then have that roaming capability between versions of Office as well. We can migrate stuff that is possible to migrate between different versions backwards and forwards. So we've already done that. We can do that. We've got a team of guys called APS. There's a couple of them in the room who are very skilled at doing that sort of stuff. It's bread and butter for us.
Okay.
Cool.
We've got one more slide.
One more slide.
Do you need this one?
No, I'm cool.
You cool with that one? All right. I'll fast forward. And that means you get out for coffee before everybody else.
Bang, bang.
All right, so this is going to be the Microsoft sphere, all right? So not only do we have programs with AppSense and they can come out and do POCs and pilots for you, which is what Santos took advantage of, we also at Microsoft have something called Accelerate. It is what it says. Well, these are here to help you accelerate your deployments, which, that's what I'm here for. So they are programs that we work with partners. So if you've got a partner that does a deployment and is silver or gold certified, you can actually work with your account teams and start getting them to engage. So if you want to do a Windows 8.1 core POC, which will be available later in the year because it's not GA just yet, you can have a 5, 10 or 15-day engagement and a 50-day pilot for 8.1. So for those people that are in the higher end, so the 40,000, 15,000 seats, that's probably something that you might want to have a look at. Oh, now I'm standing on chocolates.
Let's go on there. That was your
I
one,
know.
too.
Okay, we also have engagements for IE to 10 to 11 migrations. If that's something that, you don't have to go 10 to 11, but if you want to go to 10 or 11, you can take advantage of some of those days as well. We also have security POCs for those people that are concerned about what's going to happen if they go to 8. So there's POCs there for you as well. We have a Windows 7 pilot only. So if you want to pilot 7 and have some engagement days to do that, there's some programs there for you as well. So talk to your account team. For those that don't have an account team, have a look on your website and have a look at who that person is, and they can engage with our partners. So drive the deployment, ask them about it. They're there for you and to help you guys get your deployments across. So we're both in the showcase today, both myself and Shane. So come and talk to us, and thanks for coming. Very early session. I'm impressed people turned up.
Come by the AppSense stand, guys. Thank you very much.
And there's more chocolates if anyone wants one.
Yeah, if anyone seriously...
That's not the one I stood on.
Is that the flat one?
Yeah.
Right.
There's a few tons that just stood on that. Enjoy your day, guys.
Thank you.